apes to farmers. The history of humankind is rooted in a part of the animal kingdom that includes monkeys, apes, and other primates. It took millions of years of evolution over countless generations for ape-like ancestors to become modern Homo sapiens. Interesting. So let's see. I'll read a little bit of this. Scientific evidence links all humans to apes, specifically chimpanzees, our closest non-human relatives. DNA, the ultimate bloodline indicator, suggests that we separated from a common ancestor some 6.5 million years ago. Wow, that's quite some time ago. Indeed, humans are apes, albeit in upright, naked form. Monkeys, apes, and humans are primates that have a large brain, grasping digits, forward-facing eyes, and nails instead of claws. Interesting. I didn't realize that was like a specific trait, but I guess it makes sense. Fossilized remains of animals that lived in the distant past provide tantalizing evidence of just how apes became modern humans. Skeletons turn into fossils when they become mineralized into rock, a process that usually takes at least 10,000 years. Fossilized remains are usually fragmentary, but an expertise in anatomy allows scientists to piece together the fossil record in an attempt to reconstruct extinct species. African fossils of a primate called the proconsul dated to around 21 to 16 million years ago. Wow. Have feature characteristics of monkeys, but it lacked a tail, a feature more typical of apes, suggesting that proconsul could have been the earliest known member of the ape family. It's about 21 to 16 million years ago. Look at some of this. So this is Lucy, a fossil of Lucy, the remains. Looks like she's a member of a genus of Australopithecus from East Africa from over 3 million years ago. It was efficient enough to prove that she walked upright on two legs. So, 3 million years ago. It's kind of the full skeleton evidence that we have. Just crazy. Let's see, close cousins, Neanderthals, the closest extinct human species to modern humans, Homo sapiens, had larger skulls with more prominent eyebrows. Homo sapiens and Neanderthals were sufficiently similar to interbreed where they coexisted. Interesting. Okay, there we go. It's a little better. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical problems. Okay. Okay. Ice Age paintings here. But yeah, cool stuff. The first humans. The human story began in Africa 7 or 6 million years ago. Through the fossil record of this vast continent, we can draw a complex family tree of human relatives, of which our species, Homo sapiens, is the last to survive. So this is interesting. This is Africa, and I guess you can kind of track where all the different species were kind of found on the continent. Looks like right here, the first human-like apes were found 7 to 5.1 Sahelanthropus skull. Interesting. Let's see. I can find those. Beer. Oh, one up here. Interesting. And down here. Okay. Human-like apes diversify 5.3 million to 2.58 million years ago. Fossils from this time indicate a diversity of hominin species. Fossils of Ardipithecus ramidus found in Ethiopia include the oldest near-complete hominin skeleton. Later, Kenyanthropus, known from a single skull, and an early Paranthropus, with its enormous molars, lived alongside several species of the genus Australopithecus, one of which left the famous Leothole footprints 3.7 to 3 million years ago, depicted here on the right. Interesting. You can see, it looks like, when they start to diversify into these kind of different species, they're still pretty localized, which I find kind of interesting. You think as I guess when they're all close, there's more genetic commingling. If they were spread out, they would kind of, sure they would develop separately, but anyways. So then we have our own genus appears. 2.5 million years ago to 300,000 years ago. Interesting. Yeah, it looks like when it's closer to how modern humans are. Those are all, again, all like over here. Interesting. A lot still like right in here in Kenya area. A lot down in South Africa too. And then Homo sapiens prevail. When the first Homo sapiens became established, all other known African hominins died out except one. Fossils remain recently dated to 335,000 years ago to 236,000 years ago, suggest that a species named Homo naledi was inhabiting southern Africa at about the time of Homo sapiens first appeared. Whether the species interacted is unknown, but with Homo naledi's disappearance, our species would have had Africa to itself. That is kind of interesting. See, Homo sapiens. I mean, they traveled all along here, especially along the coasts. the Old World, replacing all other hominin species. Homo sapiens first left Africa sometime after 200,000 years ago, and some groups appear to have reached East Asia by at least 80,000 years ago, and perhaps as early as 120,000 years ago, either via the Horn of Africa or the Sinai Peninsula. The first migrants traveled east along Asia's southern coastline, and either north to China or eastward across Southeast Asia. Kind of see. Interesting. So purple is where they're found in Africa. Red is where we have like a genetic trail of Homo sapiens, I guess, going. So they first went all the way into here. But then we also have history of them here. But even before then, interesting. Mysterious was the... I guess I should finish this. As they moved into new territories, Homo sapiens are known to have encountered other hominins, including Neanderthals and Denisovans. Little is yet known of the Denisovans, but the Neanderthal was the first fossil hominin discovered and is now known from thousands of species. Evidence of interaction with both species lives on in our genes. Interesting. I have never heard of the Denisovan before. DNA analysis of a finger bone and two teeth from Denisova Cave in Siberia has identified a previously unknown and distinct population, the Denisovans. Although their remains have only been found at one site, their genes indicate that they were widespread. Contemporaries of the Neanderthals, they also interbred with the species as well as with Homo sapiens. Interesting. Right there, one site. Very cool. Oh, interesting. The first Australians. Sorry, let me try to refocus this a little bit better. More than 60,000 years ago, hardy, resourceful people arrived. Hardy, resourceful people arrived in Australia from Asia. These are the ancestors of the contemporary Aboriginal Australians who went on to establish a unique way of life with a distinct culture. During the last Ice Age, Australia, New Guinea, and Tasmania were joined in a single landmass. Oh wow. Which was colonized by a seafaring people who crossed the seas from Asia on bamboo vessels. These people were the first Australians. Their journey through the continent followed coastlines and river valleys. Archaeological evidence suggests that by 30,000 years ago, they had spread far and wide, from Tasmania in the south to the Swan River in the west and northward into New Guinea. Indigenous Australians. These first hunter-gatherers to inhabit Australia were semi-nomadic, in contrast to their agricultural societies. They moved with the seasons. They lived in small family groups that were connected through mysteries of creation combined with moral codes, some of which are reflected in art. Interesting. So, seems like Aboriginals are a little less new than African Homo sapiens, but 65,000 years ago is still very old. Oh, interesting. Let me see if there's any more. Yeah, I guess I can kind of do this. I can't really adjust my camera. I'm sorry, guys. I can do my best here. So it looks like this is now kind of tracking, when people came into North America. So they went from Africa down into Australia and kind of like up into everywhere else, right? Then it looks like they went up through Siberia and then came across the strait, the Bering Strait, classic. Down into North America. So let's see, Asian origins. Probably before 40,000 years ago, hunter-gatherers were already living in the Asian Arctic regions. These hardy people who hunted mammoth at the Yana RHS site in Siberia. See if I can find it. That's not on here. We're used to harsh conditions and well prepared to take advantage of the lower sea levels that exposed the Beringia landmass, joining Asia and America before 24,000 years ago. They were ancestors of the first people who crossed to America. Interesting. So as we track it, it looks like about 25,000 years ago, people were living up here in Siberia. Then around that time, they traveled over here into the Americas, 26,000 to 13,000 years ago. And then they went up, down along the coast and down through the Canadian wilderness, well, modern-day Canadian wilderness, to North America, and then followed that down into South America. Interesting. So, if this logic is correct, that would mean that down here is kind of where human exploration ended. It started in Africa, made it up its way into Asia and Europe, and then over to Australia, and then eventually up here into North America, all the way down into South America. Interesting. Let me see. Penetrating for at least one bloodline diverged from the rest of the North Americans and migrated southward. These people took their hunting technology with them as they reached out into the more tropical regions of Central America and down the equator in South America. Most of South America's earliest colonists stuck to the Pacific coast, where they spread into the Andean region before continuing down toward Patagonia. It is likely that many crossed the Andes, with some people living at altitudes of 13,120 feet or 4,000 meters, to go eastward deep into the Amazon basin or across Patagonia. Yeah, I can't imagine. It's hard to imagine what any of this looked like, archaeological sites predating the Clovis period shows that this is probably not the case. However, Clovis culture became a widespread influence. They used bifacial stone points and blades that many of North America's large mammals, such as bison,